Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. And And here is our merchandise. We will be rolling out new merchandise for the rest of this year. Yes, we will be rolling out new merchandise for the rest of this year. So now, let's get to the team that pretty much nobody is talking about, and they have just flown under the radar for over the last 4 weeks. It is the Charlotte Hornets. Now, coming into this season, the Charlotte Hornets was on nobody's radar, and I do mean nobody's radar, to even make it to the play-in tournament. But as of right now, they are in the 10th spot of the Eastern Conference, and if the play-in tournament started today, they would be able to make it to the play-in tournament, and they would be facing the Orlando Magic. So now, let's get into the entirety of the roster. Let's get into their schedule from where they started to how they got here, and what is their historically as far as the franchise. And then at the end, I am going to give you all the future outlook of this team for the rest of the season. So, who is all on the roster? The team roster is LaMelo Ball, Mikael Brahim, Miles Bridges, Pat Connaughton, Mausa Dabite, Tosin Ivamuban, Josh Green, PJ Hall, Cyan James, Ryan Kaligber, Con Capel, Trey Mann, Liam McLesley, Brandon Miller, Antonio Reeves, Tyjan Sulan, Xavier Tillman, Kobe White, Grant Williams, and the head coach is Charles Lee. Now, not too many people know who's all on the roster for the Charlotte Hornets, and I just gave you a list of who's all on the roster and who is the head coach. So now, this more than likely, this is going. I'm going to tell everybody this. This is going to be the last season remaining Outlook NBA segment, because tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we are going to be doing 3 game segments from the previous night of NBA competition, because we are getting to the point where it's almost early March and the playoffs are around the corner, and we have March Madness to talk about, people. So this is going to be the last remaining season Outlook NBA segment. So the Charlotte Hornets, coming into this season, they were a team that you really didn't expect much from, obviously speaking. For them to be in this position at this point of the season, it's pretty much a success story, no matter how far they make it into the playoffs, no matter even if they make it to the play-in tournament. We are not going to be focused on how many wins the Charlotte Hornets got earlier on in the season. We only focus on those teams who make the playoffs and who have a chance at winning a championship. But this team right here, it causes you to pause for a minute. It does. It does, because when you see their depth, and as you can see, their starting lineup is LaMelo Ball, Con Capel, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, Mausa Dabate. And then you see where some of their players are out. You see Cody White is out, and Ryan Brenner, Liam McNeasley, and those are the 3 players that are out. But we all know who is the leading scorer on the Charlotte Hornets, and that is Brandon Miller and also LaMelo Ball. Brandon Miller, 20.5 points. LaMelo Ball, 19.4. Capel, 19.2. Miles Bridges, 18.2. C. Sexton, 14.2. And then we get to the last 12 guys on this team that really have done the bare minimum. But one thing that I can say is that the Charlotte Hornets are a young, up-and-coming team. Now, I don't know if they will ever be a top 5 team in the East, but with them being in the play-in tournament conversation, this is pretty much, they are on the doorstep of the playoffs, because now you make it to the play-in tournament and you have a chance at making it to the playoffs. Now, one thing that I'm going to do is tell you their potential playoff matchups. Now, the potential playoff matchups, if the Charlotte Hornets win over the Orlando Magic, they could be facing either the Detroit Pistons or the Boston Celtics. But there's one thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons, outside of Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, they don't have many scorers. So by default, the best team in the Eastern Conference is the Boston Celtics by default, because I've seen what the Detroit Pistons have done, but like I said, regular season is different than postseason. We need to see what the Detroit Pistons are going to do in the postseason, and I said that in my Detroit Pistons segment earlier this month. The Charlotte Hornets, I believe that the Charlotte Hornets, they can make some things interesting, but there's a huge what if factor when it comes to the Charlotte Hornets, because we see what they can do against top-notch teams, but what can they do in a play-in tournament setting that really has a playoff field? Because this group of guys, they have never been in a playoff field or a playoff-like situation, because by this time of the season, the Charlotte Hornets are always where the Brooklyn Nets and the Indiana Pacers are supposed to be, down and out of it, and can't get back in it. But there's one thing that I want to say. I want to talk about their history as far as a team, and pretty much I'm going to give their future outlook. Well, I'm going to talk about their schedule. I'm going to talk about their schedule first. So, Charlotte Hornets schedule. They started out the season, win over Brooklyn. Then by the second week of the season, they went on a little bit of a losing streak, losing 5 of their next 6. Then in November, they lost 7 straight games. Early December, they were pretty much, they had alternating wins, 2 wins here, 2 losses here, 3 wins here, and all of that. So we get to late December, had a 3-game losing streak. We get to early January, alternating wins, 2 wins here, 2 losses here. We get to the latter part of January, and they went on a 8-game winning streak between Washington and Atlanta. And then we get to present day, early to late February, and we see where they won versus Houston, they won versus Atlanta, lost versus Detroit, won versus Atlanta, won versus Houston, lost versus Houston, lost versus Cleveland, won versus Washington, and as we can see, their remaining schedule. Now, before I get into that main schedule, I want to talk about the franchise history of the Charlotte Hornets. Now, everybody is saying that the Charlotte Hornets are one of the youngest teams in the NBA. They are pretty much in the same boat as the Miami Heat in terms of how many years the team has been in the NBA. So, starting out, Charlotte Hornets, 1988-89 was their first season, pretty much one of their worst seasons in franchise history. And for the first 4 seasons of this franchise, they did not make the playoffs. We get to 92-93. They make the playoffs, win the first round, losing the conference semifinals to the New York Knicks. 93-94, did not make the playoffs. 94-95, lost to the Bulls in the first round. We all know that Michael Jordan, 94-95, that's when he came back. 96-97, lost in the first round. And that's what basically, I'm not going to bore y'all to death, but that's what basically the Charlotte Hornets have been throughout the past 30 years. First, they have first and second round exits. When you look at it, 99, 2000, first round exit. 2000, 2001, first round exit. 2001, 2002, won the first round, second round exit. 2003, 2004, they did not play. 2002, 2003, they did not play. Then they became the Charlotte Bobcats for 10 years. First round exits when it came to the Orlando Magic, and first round exit in 2013, 2014 when it came to the Miami Heat. Then they became the Charlotte Hornets again in 2014, 2015. Did not make the playoffs. Their first season back as the Charlotte Hornets. Second season, lost to the Heat in a 7-game series. And ever since then, it's just been, they haven't made the playoffs in almost since 2015, 2016 season. And we get to the point where I'm going to tell y'all there's been coaches, Steve Clifford, James Borrego, Steve Clifford again, Charles Lee. And Charles Lee is the present coach for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, pretty much this segment for the Charlotte Hornets is almost over with. So, the finality of this segment will be how many wins do I see the Charlotte Hornets having. Well, let's see their schedule. So, tonight they have the Chicago Bears. Then you have the Indiana Pacers. But let's look at those tough matchups. You have Boston. You have Miami. You have Phoenix. You have Sacramento. Excuse me, not Sacramento, but you have San Antonio, Orlando, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and then to finish out the season, they have a tough 4-game slate to finish out the season. You have Minnesota, Boston, Detroit, and New York to finish out the season. All of those games could go either way, and the Hornets, they could get blown out in all 4 of those games. But I believe that the Charlotte Hornets, they are going to make some hay and try and make this thing interesting for that last play-in tournament spot. Maybe they may move up in the standings, but right now, as it is, you have Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, Atlanta Hawks. Now, I believe the Atlanta Hawks, they will drop and the Hornets will move up in the standings, but not very far. I just don't see that. Now, the Hornets, they have 27 wins right now, and I could see the Hornets ending up with, I'm going to say 48 to 49 wins, and possibly facing either the Orlando Magic or the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament, and possibly winning, because we all know that Miami is up and down. And mainly everybody that's 7 through 10 in the East have been up and down for most of the season, and there really won't be no overwhelming favorite in the Eastern Conference when it comes to the play-in tournament. The same thing can be said for the Western Conference. Now, with that, one thing that I can say about the Charlotte Hornets is they are a young team. Let's see where the Charlotte Hornets can end up in this playoff scenario. And with that, that is my remaining season outlook for the Charlotte Hornets. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports right here on Instagram, and the KeyOnMillions.co. We have merchandise on Millions.co. We also have, here's my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my media feed so that you will know that I have mostly the segments for previous games and throughout the entirety of the regular season. And we are at the end of the remaining season outlook for NBA teams. This was the last video. Charlotte Hornets, there it is about to go up, and we are going to start talking about the matchups that happen throughout the rest of the NBA season. Tonight, the 3 matchups that I am going to cover for tomorrow's show will be we have three matches tonight. New York, Cleveland, Minnesota, Portland, Boston and Phoenix, and I'm going to debate whether to put Orlando and Los Angeles in my segment for tomorrow. But that's pretty much what we are going to be covering tomorrow. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, please remember one last thing. The key is always on time.